Hey Internet, it's me. Now, tonight I watched A Quiet Place, because I just watched the prequel, so it'd be silly not to watch this. Um, I have thoughts here. Now, the first time I saw the movie, it was a fun movie, I enjoyed it. And watching it now, it's still a fun movie, I still enjoy it, but you basically have to turn your brain off here. Because if you think about the movie too hard, or even just a decent amount, everything falls apart. Right off the bat, the very beginning, we found out they're on day 89. So it's been roughly 3 months since the aliens landed, started killing everybody. And, first of all, they're still being like whisper quiet all the time. And now, in day 1, that made sense. The aliens just landed, they were all congregated in that one city, and, you were never that far away from one, so they would hear even the smallest sound. But 3 months later, the way predator species work is they can't all stay grouped together like that, or else they have to, prey on each other. So they need to spread out so that they have prey to eat, and that they're not fighting over the food source. So this means that, in 3 months' time, they would have spread out, and whatever danger these people are facing is no longer immediate. Like, you still want to be quiet, for sure, but if you make a loud noise, let's say it's a single loud, sharp staccato noise, like it's just one quick bang, or the honk of a horn, or something like that, the creature, wherever it may be, will hear that noise and will run toward that area. But the way sound waves work, like, it's not, think of like bats with their echolocation. If you ever see videos of bats hunting, they're only successful like 30% of the time. And they have some of the most advanced hearing. And even then, they're hunting things that are feet away. So if this alien is half a mile away and hears a noise, it might end up in the same half an acre square of where the noise came from. But it's not going to be right on top of it. And it's certainly, much like the first movie, not going to know that whatever made the noise has now moved and is over here. Like, it's just not that big a threat anymore. Like, you still gotta be quiet, sure, but if you do make a noise, you're not dead. It's not the end of the world, it's fine. So, right off the bat, this movie has a lot less imminent threat than the last one. Also, they gave themselves this 3-month timeline, by the way. They put the 89-day intro card, that's on them. So all these nitpicks, they created. But you find out right away, they have a path of sand from their house to like the local store and all the places they need to go. Have you ever tried to move sand? Like, presumably you'd use a 5-gallon bucket or whatever, which is heavy, by the way. But to get enough sand to make a trail, and a decently thick enough trail that would actually, mute the sound of footsteps, which, by the way, they're barefoot, you don't need to do that anyway. But a trail of sand that would mute it that much would take a lot of sand. And you have to do it by hand. They clearly can't use machines because of the noise. Basically, there's no way that happened in 3 months. It didn't. They did not do that in 3 months. Absolutely not. Bullshit. But also, again, we're on day 89, 3 months in. The lady's in the pharmacy looking for medicine for the kid. And she finds a bottle, like it's her first time. Like, she's searching, like, oh, which one? Maybe, oh, this one. And she takes that bottle, and then she's just done searching now. If your kid's going to need this medicine, or maybe someone else in your family is going to need this medicine, or maybe other medicine, take them all with you. I'm not saying clear out the whole pharmacy. Other people might need them too. Don't take every drug. But if your kid has a specific need for something, like, oh, I need antibiotics because, he has whatever infection, you take the bottle, and then you look for other bottles, because that way you don't have to make the trek back to the pharmacy later. And not only that, pharmaceuticals have a shelf life. They will expire. So there's no benefit to you leaving them there, because even if you're assuming, oh, someone else might want them later, they might be expired by then, which means they're not going to be as effective or effective at all. So just take them all, or at least all the relevant ones. You don't have to take the insulin if none of you are diabetic, but like all the painkillers or the antibiotics or whatever, like take them all. You're stupid not to. Just save the extra trips, to save the convenience. You don't have to be panicked later when you need it and don't have it. Like just take everything while you're there. So right off the bat, they created an impossible path. They're very dumb survivalists, and also the threat isn't that big a deal. Um, and then one of the kids dies because it made noise, which, again, it's been 3 months. You'd think you would have gotten through to them that, hey, don't make noise. Um, but we jump ahead to like roughly a year later, and they're now at their house, and we find out that apparently these parents are like engineering majors. I say that not because they tell us, but because all of a sudden, the one is building this radio array and has a list of frequencies. I don't know how he got that list. Um, Also, he has a bunch of newspaper printouts of headlines about these aliens. Again, I don't know where those came from. The first one you see is the New York Post. Now, let me remind you, when the aliens landed, they landed in New York City. That's where this started. We just saw that movie. How is the New York Post still making papers? Not only that, but this is a problem with movies in this day and age. There are no newspapers. People aren't making them anyway. Like, you have to go out of your way to find one. And that's without an alien apocalypse. So once aliens are coming down, no one's turning on that printing press. That's going to make way too much noise. It's just not going to happen. So those papers don't exist. So just like the impossible sand path, all these newspapers, impossible. They do not exist. That literally cannot be a thing. But anyway, they're engineering geniuses. They're building the advanced radio, and then we find out the wife there is building a soundproof nursery because they decided to get pregnant. And this is another huge problem I have with this movie. I know I'm listing a lot of problems. The movie is still good. I'll get to that. But these things hunt by sound. You've learned that. You figured it out. It was in the newspapers that you can't have but somehow do. So why would you create a baby? The one thing that is guaranteed to make noise and does not have the capacity to understand not to make noise. It's basically suicide, but it takes a long time to get there and it's really drawn out. You're going to be super sad. In no world would it make sense to conceive a child. Like, I'm not saying don't have sex, because it's the apocalypse, you're going to die anyway, so yeah, go for it all the time. But use condoms. Or the pill, or something. Again, the pharmacy, they know how to get there. They have access to all the stuff. Like, do not create life in this environment. In the first half hour of the movie, we see one kid die, and the other kids almost burn the house down and draw the attention of the aliens. So, kids are terrible in a situation like this. Why would you create another one? So, yeah, these people are simultaneously geniuses and idiots. But, that is a lot of negativity, that is a lot of nitpicks. But like I said, if you turn your brain off and just kind of watch the movie and let all of that go away, it is a good time. It takes a while to turn into horror. Like, you get the kill early on because you need a cold open. But then a lot of it is just like the family drama and seeing how this family is surviving without making sound. All their dishes, they're serving food on like cabbage leaves. And they work on a farm. They have electricity somehow, not inside the house, which is weird because they almost burned the house down and started noise was because they knocked over an oil lamp. But then outdoors, they have electricity and string lights covering the whole farm. So why they didn't light the inside, I don't know. But they have electricity somehow, and they go about their day. And you see, they're all barefoot, so they won't make noise. Like I said, they don't have plates or glasses. They have a board game, but they put a cloth in the middle, and the dice they're rolling appear to be, like maybe carved out of wood or something that makes less noise than the standard plastic or acrylic dice. So they've adapted to this world in the little over a year that it's been. They've learned how to reduce the amount of noise that they make, which again, unnecessary because logistics, but it's interesting. But it's not horror for a while. And then, suddenly later it is horror. The aliens do get drawn in because a noise is made, and now they have to try to escape them and just make them lose interest and go away, which you'd think would be quick to do, but somehow it's not. And then eventually they have the baby, which is the stupidest fucking thing in the world. And then the daughter finds out through her malfunctioning hearing aid that, oh, we can kill these aliens. If I play this certain sound wave or whatever, they show their weak spot and then we can attack them and kill them. And you kind of get the idea that that's what they're going to do now. Like the mom has like a badass G.I. Jane moment at the end. She's like, all right, let's shoot something. So, like, it's, you get the cool redemption at the end, and you get, like, the hero's triumph, kind of. Like, they lost the kid at the beginning, and the husband dies, too. So, there were losses along the way, but girl power at the end, and they're gonna kill all the aliens. I say that like it's a bad thing. It is not. I'm fine to have just the females live. Like, female antagonists, or protagonists, rather, are great. It's not a judgment. So... yeah, it sets up for a good spot. It's fun enough to watch. The story's not terrible. It's not, like, super slow or boring. It just, if you think too hard, it gets really stupid. And it does take a minute to go from drama to horror. But again, the drama aspect and the horror aspect are both done well, so I'm fine with both. That's not really a problem. It's just, if you somehow haven't seen this movie, and you're going into it expecting a certain thing, just know that it might not 100% be what you're expecting, especially if you saw Day One. Day One, they did a lot of the drama too. You get a lot of this girl coming to terms with her death, and then her meeting this guy who's scared and overseas away from his family and has no one, and they're building a friendship as much as they can. And, they're trying to survive this impossible thing that's happening and catching everyone off guard. So it had the drama, but there, the alien threat felt more real and more constant. Whereas here, we know the aliens exist, but it's kind of theoretical. Like, we see the one at the beginning, but then we don't see much from them until much later on. Even when they make the noise in the house, the aliens don't come to it, or at least don't attack the house. We find out shortly after that one is at least nearby because the raccoons that made noise, one of them is then snatched by the alien because it heard the noise the raccoon was making actively at that moment. So, yeah, just don't expect this to be as tense or as actiony as Day One. It's not, or at least not for the whole movie. But in the later half, when it gets to that point, it is good. Like, the tension picks up, the action picks up. Like I said, you lose main character with the father there. Like, it gets good. So you will enjoy it. It is a fun movie. I probably enjoy this as much as Day One. I think they're both good movies. It's just know what to expect. Like, if you think it's going to be action-packed from beginning to end, it won't be. But it will be good. It is paced well. You're not going to notice it's not action-packed. And then definitely turn your brain off because it has kind of the traditional sci-fi problem where they wanted to have the sci-fi aspects, but they didn't put a lot of thought about how they would work in the world because a lot of what happens here just doesn't make sense. And yeah, I think that's it. Without just repeating myself more, I think that's where I stand in that movie. It's good. You should watch it. Just know what you're getting into. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another movie. And you'll totally never guess which one.